The work session. Right.
One's a contract.
Mark said he has the documents here for
Right.
item D.
Okay, that's the one I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And also I
Okay.
wanted to see C.
All right, are we ready? All right, this is the city commission meeting for April 14th, 6 o'clock. So I have asked Russell Brazil to give an invocation tonight, and Commissioner Arias will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would please stand.
Mayor, commissioners, city manager, leaders, pray with me. Heavenly Father, as we come to you this evening, Lord, we just ask for your guidance, wisdom, and understanding over our city leaders, giving them the knowledge, the understanding, and the judgment and decisions to make, keeping our city moving forward. Lord, we ask these blessings in your heavenly name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Cherry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Here.
I'm here too.
I don't know what you're guessing, so I'm here. Next on the agenda is a public hearing. It's a consider and act upon ordinance 1162. This is the second and final reading, amending the official zoning district map of A part of ordinance 1052. Recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission regarding the rezone for Michelle Chavez. Consider and act upon this one. This is the second reading. Are you presenting that?
We do need to open it to the public first.
Yes, that's right. Do I have any questions from the public concerning this final reading and the rezoning? And if so, you need to be sworn in.
This is for the Head Start that's gonna build in, is that what it is?
No, it's for the church on 6th Street that's gonna be a daycare center.
I mean, daycare, yeah, okay.
Closing the one on the boulevard, right?
Right.
Yes.
So this is also, you haven't had any rebuttals from the neighbors or anybody around there, 'cause it's a residential area. So,
No, sir, I have not personally. I'm not sure if you need the Valentine's.
no, it's important because they live there. I don't have an objection.
It's in my district. Nobody said anything to me about it, so.
Good.
All right, so I would entertain a motion that we approve this.
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Cherry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Yes.
Okay, we have a consider and act upon ordinance 1163. It's the second and final reading, amending the official zoning district map, a part of ordinance 1052. Recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission to rezone it for the MT Tucumcari Properties LLC. Mark, is this the,
This is off Mountain Road.
okay,
Oh, that's right.
Is he on?
No.
He had sent me an email saying that he may appear, so I just wanted to make sure.
So they wanna go from agriculture to resident R3,
To C1.
C1, I'm sorry, got it. What do you know anything they're gonna do there?
If I remember correctly, from what I've heard, potentially a dispensary and a coffee shop. I'm not sure if that's.
If this isn't Rock Highland,
no, it's not.
I mean, Mountain Road, I'm sorry.
Fairly close to the hotel out there by the RV park somewhere. back in our-
Supposed to be on road RV.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know why I got it. Look at the mountain.
Does anyone have a public comment or anything? Okay, if not, I would consider a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion to do it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Cherry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Okay, are there any considerations of changes or deletions to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
I have one question. On 8, and I was asking them how go, I noticed all this, but we don't have a lot of information. Do we have any information anywhere we could get for this?
I haven't, it was just quotes, so I'm just gonna read the price amount, that's all it was.
Oh, okay, because I was wanted to see them.
Yeah, I'll have them out too if you'd like to see them.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Any other,
Madam Mayor, I move the approval agenda is
do I have a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moya.
Yep.
Commissioner Gamero,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is public comments. Citizens wanting to speak during this time must sign up prior to the start of the meeting, which I have the sign-up list here. You are given 3 minutes, not for discussion or questions and answers. Okay. Do we need the
Yeah.
emergency fee?
No, I don't mind, I haven't paid my insurance.
All right, so first on the agenda, kept your lung. First on the agenda is Bobby Hockaday.
Howdy, Commissioners. We're excited to get Tucumcari Rawhide Days up and running with many of the events attendees of the past know and love, including the Longhorn Parade, gunfighter shows, Native American dances, truck wagons, the Craft Club Fair, and many country singers and bands, including Laura Manazares, Randy Houston, the Ghost Runners, and Limited Edition. Tucumcari Rawhide Days Film Festival 2022 is happy to proclaim that tickets are now on pre-sale. They are available online at tucumcarirawhidedays.com and in person at the Railroad Depot and the Chamber of Commerce. Screenings will happen on April 29th and 30th at the Downtown Historic Odeon Theater. We will be screening over 26 films, including titles such as Gold, You Idiot, On the Edge from a French filmmaker, El Cairo from the director Martin Montortalo, Smoking Gun, and Ghost Town, a documentary about Dawson.
Oh, cool.
Tickets are $20 for the Deputy All Access Pass and $15 for the Screening Posse Badge Pass and $10 per block of films. With the Deputy All Access Pass, you get a chance to watch all the humble offerings of the festival. You also get access to rub elbows with all the other film aficionados at our VIP watering hole. Plus, you get access to hear some wise film scholars at a discussion panel, Women in Film, and the workshop Locations Department. What is it? Your pass also comes with a collectible VIP lanyard. See you at April 29th at 7 p.m. Tucumcari Rawhide Days is paid in part by the Tucumcari Lodge's Tax Board. Tucumcari Rawhide Days Film Festival is sponsored by the many great volunteers and generous contributions from our film festival pioneers. Thank you for letting me talk.
Next is Tammy Willard and Kathy McClellan.
Wow, somebody tall. That's for you. Good evening. We're here tonight because we have a huge concern with the condition of our city kennel. I have had the ladies from the lab get a hold of me, telling me how often that our new ACO is taking care of those animals. They're often left without any care for at least 72 hours. That is unacceptable. That's against the law. Our ordinances for the city, that's against the law. If somebody else was doing that, they would be fined. Something has to be done. This guy's not going to work on time. He's cruising. I see him cruising, but he's not taking care of the animals down there. They're in the dark all the time. They dump their water, so they're without water for however long until he gets there, or that the girls in the lab go take care of them. And he leaves them little notes about how's my cleaning today, or he left them a city employment application. At least you guys should be getting paid for what you're doing.
Wow.
Big time.
I think he's getting paid, but.
Yeah, for
He's not
doing nothing. He shows up and sits in his truck. Those girls can vouch for it, and they're willing to. Something has to be done.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
thanks for bringing it to our attention. That's real crucial.
Thank you very much.
Tammy, did you want to say anything?
what she said.
Okay. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Karen Alacarn. I bet you I know what she's gonna talk about.
I'm gonna be nice.
I know you are.
So I don't have an accent, but thank you very much. City manager, commissioners, mayor, and Angelica, city clerk, congratulations. Yes, we have Rawhide Days coming up. We're really excited. We've got some really nice posters made, so if anybody needs some, we've got rack cards and we're working on the programs. We've got 3 local bands. I don't know if you heard them. The Ghost Runners, Limited Edition, and Bakersfield Twine will be performing, ending our night on Saturday night. We invite you to come Friday at the Historical Museum. Will be our kickoff. Saturday, the parade will start at 10, and we're gonna go from 10 to 10 at night on Saturday night. And Sunday, we're going to have pancake breakfast, chuck wagon pancake breakfast, and a cowboy church service. And the craft club will also be out there Saturday and Sunday at the exhibit center. They're very excited to finally get a show, so we're excited to have them. We're working on the schedule, so you can please check out our website at tuncumcary.rawhidedays.com. And if anybody would like posters, we've got posters to hang up. We would love some help. If you're going out of town, let me know, and I'll send you out of town with some posters. And we'll wrap cards if anybody needs any in their businesses, or if you just like to have some, got some with me. And I just invite you all to attend. We'd really love to have you support, and thank you for all your kindness that you've shown us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is Tanya Rigdon.
Hello, this is not my forte. And I'm really short, so I'm just coming in front of the commission tonight to say I'm really proud of our community, the Chamber of Commerce, the Main Street Program, Paws and Claws, for doing what they do. I am upset that we can't all work together as a community. We have people coming into town, and when they go to get utilities turned on, it's a real hassle. And I don't know what the problem is, but we need to get it solved, and we need to let people know that they are welcome in town and not turn them away with a sour taste in their mouth. We have got lots of new people coming to town. We've got lots of events happening. The Rawhide Days, the chamber office looks awesome. Connie Loveland's doing a great job, but it shouldn't just be up to 3 people to get things done. We all have to work together as a community. Paws and Claws works really hard, and I know they always need volunteers, and all these young new people coming into town, they'd love to volunteer. We just have to have a place where they can go to say what's going on, you know, what can we do to help, and we need a central location for that. I think we need to work together more as a community. Instead of working against each other, let's all work together and see if we can bring Tucumcari back to life, because that's what we need. We've got a great community, and all of us here know that. All of you know that our community always comes together, but we need to come together to build our town back up.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Could you pass this down, Nancy? Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is approved by a single motion, and any member of the commission may request an item be transferred to the regular meeting. But the things we will be under the consent agenda tonight is approval of the work session notes for March 24th, the commission meeting for March 24th, and the use of St. Anne's Park permit. So if anyone have any questions? I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villarreal,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is my favorite thing, it's proclamation. And so, whereas, this is a proclamation declaring April as Autism Awareness Month. Now, I mentioned it at the last meeting because here we are already on the 14th, and Autism Awareness Month started on April 1st. But this is the first meeting we've had. Thank you. So, whereas autism spectrum disorder is a neurobiological disorder and interferes with the development of communication and social interaction skills. And one of every 44 children born this year will later be diagnosed as having an autism spectrum disorder. More than 3.5 million Americans and currently living with an autism spectrum disorder, making autism the fastest growing development disorder. And whereas it is a lifelong condition that presents challenges to education, employment, housing, and community development, and early intervention, evidence-based practices, and proven support greatly improve the outcomes and reduce the lifelong costs of care of individuals with autism and their families. And whereas April is recognized as Autism Awareness Month in the United States. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Ruth Ann Litchfield, Mayor of the City of Tucumcari, do hereby recognize April 22nd, 2022, as Autism Awareness Month and commend the many professionals, families, advocates, and volunteers working to promote greater understanding of autism in order to improve the quality of life of those affected by autism. And I've asked Jackie Duplantis, who is a special education teacher, and I've asked her to ask some of her parents and children to come up and accept this proclamation because autism awareness is very personal to me. I have a grandson that is 18 years old, will be 18 years old. He's graduating from high school. He's also going to college. So there is a huge, huge importance in the education of these autistic children. So let me sign this real quick, okay? And then I'll present it to you. And thank you for all you do for education. Better take this off. Are you gonna accept this?
Yeah.
How would you do that? I appreciate it. Looky here. It's a proclamation. Just take the whole thing, okay? The whole blue thing. There you go. Congratulations. Thank you. So proud of you. Are you being a good boy at school?
Yeah.
Good. And thank you again, Mrs. Duplantis, for everything you do. And the parents, we do appreciate you parents more than you know. So, anyway. Oh, did he want to talk in the microphone?
You did.
I said I'd like to have hugged them, but they don't know it. Thank you so much for bringing your children. We appreciate it. 7A, okay. Bids and contracts. The Tucumcari Airport runway state design and construction agreement, and Ralph Lopez will give that one A, B, and C.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Commissioners. We're trying to get the runway 826 project going. And the first part is we get the state grant in place and then bid it out for construction. And then based on that number, they'll give us the federal grant. There's been a little bit of trouble getting all of the stuff that they wanted to combine for funding, but I think we're still on track to do it for the price that we thought we were. What I have, the first thing on the agenda is the agreement for the state portion of the project. This is a breakdown, for state of 29,300, sponsor, which is us, of $3,256. And the federal portion is 390,554 estimated, for a total of 423,000. And this is to, completely, seal, crack fill, seal coat, and then remark the 826 runway. So at this time, I'd like to ask for your approval and stand for questions.
Have any questions about this runway? I would entertain a motion to approve 826 state design and construction agreement.
I'll take the motion, Madam Mayor.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, roll call please.
Mayor Pro Tem Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry, Mayor Litchfield.
It's all right, not a problem. Very excited, okay, yes. All right, next is the airport runway 826 task order 10.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is the task order for the engineering services. We have a general services contractor. Instead of getting an engineer every time, we just do an additional task order for each new project. This is still with Bohannon Houston, and it's for that 826 project as well. It's in the total amount of $50,407.41 for the design, and I think this is actually for the construction portion of it as well. So at this time, I'd like to stand for questions and ask for your approval.
Any questions concerning runway, the 826 task order 10? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call please.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moya.
Okay, next is amendment number 1 to the agreement with the CDM Smith Engineering for engineering services.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is an amendment to the engineering agreement, and this is to develop the final design plans and specifications for the project, and this is for the reuse project. This is in the amount of an additional amount of $349,128 for a total adjusted agreement amount of $696,807. And I'd stand for questions and ask for your approval.
Any questions concerning this agreement with CDM Smith Engineering?
Real quick, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Is this all for just reuse? Is that the project, the reuse part?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I also have Mr. Robert Valley from CDM Smith online as well, if you have any questions for him.
Yeah, it seems high, but this is a $5.2 million project, so it's, in that respect, it's a pretty small percentage of the total contract amount, so.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Fowley?
No.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion to approve the contract, the agreement with CDM Smith Engineering.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Rob.
Okay, next is new business. We have a quarterly report regarding EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, by Patrick Vanderpool.
Do they have copies of this?
I don't believe so.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hooked up, can't move. Thank you.
Well, let me start by saying we're in a different place than we were a year ago at this time. And I think you'll see that.
I'm sorry.
On the second page, there are a couple of things that have happened this year that I want to make you aware of. And they're listed on that second page as lessons learned. I want to start with item number 2, actually, on that list. Some of you may remember that in the previous fiscal year, we had received a grant from the Economic Development Department called LEADS, which is basically designed to generate leads. And our plan at that time was to build a kiosk and put it in the Welcome Center at Glen Rio to capture those corporate types and business owners that were traveling behind the steering wheel instead of airplanes. We thought that was a pretty good idea. What we didn't anticipate was that the Welcome Centers would be closed because of the pandemic. So we ended up toward the end of that fiscal year with some funds for generating leads that we didn't anticipate we would have. So I reached out to some of my colleagues and they recommended that we visit with Global Site Location Industries. It's a Dallas-based site location consultant firm. And we did. Long story short, we ended up with a contract with Global Site Location Industries, and you'll see in a minute why that's really important for us. Chronologically, the next thing that happened was item number 3 on that lessons learned. Some of you may remember that Chase Gentry, who was the economic developer in Clovis, passed away. And the president of the New Mexico IDEA Group, that's the Statewide Economic Developers Association, Ray Mondragon, asked if I would serve out the remainder of Chase's term. So that started in October. And I didn't anticipate doing that, of course, but I was honored to be able to step into Chase's shoes to do that. I've since been reelected to serve another term on IDEA's board. What I found out was the organization, which has had its ups and downs over the years, was pretty strong because it had some new young folks involved in economic development. In particular, Eric Montgomery, who was at the Mesilla Valley Economic Development Group in Las Cruces. He is now working for El Paso Electric, but he is the governmental committee chair for New Mexico IDEA. Cassie Arias Ward from Deming, who is the president-elect and the chair of the Professional Development Committee for New Mexico IDEA. And Jason Espinosa, who is New Mexico IDEA's executive secretary and lobbyist. They had put together a legislative agenda. And that legislative agenda, we'll touch on a couple of items from that agenda here in a minute, but it really was looking at what do we need to do in our communities to be able to compete for jobs? Because there are some steps we need to take to get there. So that was an important thing that transpired this last year. And then the third is item number 1 on that lessons learned list. Also from Mesilla Valley Economic Development, a good friend of mine, Davin Lopez, who is their executive director and CEO. We had a conversation about 2 months ago about marketing and branding. And he said something that I thought really hit home. He said, you know, in Las Cruces, we're a city of 250,000 people, but we really don't get the attention of corporate businesses and site location consultants until we think regionally. And so we brand ourselves now as the Borderplex. Now, he said, in order to make my board happy, we say we're the Borderplex powered by Mesilla Valley Economic Development. But it makes a lot of sense. It gets the attention of corporate business types and site location consultants that we wouldn't otherwise have. So when you hear me talk about thinking regionally and working regionally, there's a little method to that madness. I mean, not only does it give us more folks that can actually collaborate in terms of grant applications, in terms of lobbying for changes at the state legislature, but just from a marketing perspective, I think it's important to think about. So if you'll turn to the next page, you'll see what has transpired from that is really a 3-legged stool. Number 1 is the issue of marketing Tucumcari to new businesses by generating leads and qualifying those leads and responding to the leads that fit. In supporting existing businesses, and we talked at the work session about our Create Bridges Business Retention Expansion Program, which is in essence an effort to build a support network and support services for existing businesses. And then the third piece is building capacity to compete for jobs. And I've got a proposal for you guys in a minute. Next page. Marketing Tucumcari to new business. We did have this opportunity to enter into a contract with Global Site Location Industries. And some of you may remember that the CEO of Global Site Location Industries came to Tucumcari last July. He spent a couple of days in town, trying to learn the community and what we had to offer, looking at our target industries, and meeting some of the folks in town to see who we were and what we could offer to business. Since then, we have had access to the GSLI project portal. And we've had the opportunity to have monthly Zoom calls with prospects and specifically ask them questions about their projects and what they need. There are 72 projects in that portal. And again, not all of them fit us, but they are there. And we have the opportunity to go back and look at those that are still active projects. And even if proposals have been submitted, if they're still active, that means they're still looking. So we have the opportunity to access those. We actually identified 7 projects and put them in our pipeline. Next page. The next page is a screenshot, really, of what that project portal looks like. So you can see some of the projects that are listed on the screenshot. And I would invite any of you that want to sit down with me with my laptop or whatever and take a look at the project portal and see those project reports. I would invite you to do that at any time at your convenience. So you can see what we're looking at in terms of having access to some of those projects. Next page talks about those projects that we pulled off of the portal into our pipeline. And these are projects that we thought we might be able to take a run at. Project EV Mobility, we found out they need an existing 200 to 300,000 square foot building. That's a challenge. Project Love Story, which is still an active project, by the way, and we really liked that one because they were looking at a build-to-suit proposal, not an existing building. However, they have been non-responsive to recent attempts to contact them. So we're not sure what they're doing right now. Project Sunshine, again, was another company that we found out needed 200 to 300,000 square foot building. It's active, but they say that they're working with a national real estate development firm, and they need to be near a existing window manufacturer. Project Future Farming, we liked that one. It was a vertical greenhouse in essence, and it was an environmentally safe type operation, but they have decided to locate in Boone County, Kentucky. But we took a run at it. Project Steel Housing, and Mark, you'll remember this one. It was one of the first ones that we looked at, and we liked it because it looked like it had possibilities for not only addressing the manufacturing opportunity for us, but also the housing issue that we have. But again, that's another company that is not responding to GSLI's inquiries. The next two on the page, though, Project Clean and Reuse. They're looking for 15,000 square feet, 10 to 20 jobs, basically for storage of cleaning solvents in drums. Maybe we have a shot at that one. So we're going to submit a proposal. Proposals for that project are due at the end of the month. And then the last one you see on the list is Project Corporate Dolly. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. It's for material handling equipment, manufacturing and assembly. And again, they're looking at 10 to 15,000 square feet, 6 to 7 jobs in year 1, 20 to 50 jobs by year 5. Again, the proposal for that one is due early May. So we're going to respond to that. So that gives you a feel for what we're looking at and what we have access to now that we did not have access to a year ago. And the next page talks about our work with the New Mexico Partnership. And we did have a partnership board meeting yesterday morning. And so we got an update from the partnership in terms of what their activities are. This fiscal year, they've generated 47 leads. Most of those are not suitable for us. They're really targeted toward larger cities like Las Cruces or Albuquerque. They have had 10 site visits in New Mexico in the last year, and they ended up landing 3 of those companies in New Mexico, 1 in Santa Teresa and 2 in Albuquerque. One of the values of participating with the New Mexico Partnership, though, is that they're coordinating monthly Zoom calls with site location consultants, and usually on a typical topic. We had one just this last month, and we had 3 site consultants, and we had a conversation about remote work. And I think it was interesting what I learned in talking to them about remote workers. Companies across the country are not looking to hire remote workers. They're looking to allow existing employees to work remotely. So that's a little different approach. And for us to position ourselves and take advantage of that, we just have to make ourselves an attractive community where those people want to live and work remotely. So it's a different approach than it would be if we wanted to go out and train remote workers. That's not really what they're looking for. So these conversations with site consultants are, I think, really helpful in terms of getting perspective about what they're looking for. We have a call with some site consultants next week, and they're going to be talking about utilities. So I'm curious to see what that conversation leads to. The other thing that the partnership is now beginning to do, and they had shut down like most everybody for a long time, but now they're beginning to travel again and go to participate in sales missions and trade shows and the like. In May, we're actually going to have a fan tour in New Mexico. It'll be the last week of May. Don't have the exact dates or location yet, but we're going to invite some site consultants to come to New Mexico and see what New Mexico is like. So that'll give us a chance to meet with them face to face. And then the second week of June, the Outdoor Retailer Trade Show is back in person, and that will be in Denver. And the partnership will be having a booth at that show. And I plan to attend that show along with the New Mexico Partnership. Now, the other item that I have listed at the bottom of that page is the Outdoor Economics Conference, which will be held in Taos in October. That is not a partnership event, but since it's in line with the outdoor recreation opportunities, certainly we're going to attend that and participate in that event as well. Next page, what's been interesting to me in terms of generating leads, we actually have 7 projects that we're working on that are locally generated. And so, you know, I think sometimes there's value in that because these are folks that know the community already. They're here, they live here, and they want to be here, and they want to open a business here. And so we're trying to help some of those companies. And I can tell you that 4 of those projects on that list are companies that we're looking to help provide and find financing for. We do have one of those companies that is interested in a LEDA application. So I'll be sitting down with Mark and we'll be talking about that and to see if it makes sense for us to pursue that. But again, I think that we can't forget our local entrepreneurs in terms of who we work with, in terms of generating leads and creating new businesses. So I wanted to give you that list of those 7 that we're working with at this time. Now, the second leg of that stool we talked about during the work session. So I won't go into that a lot, but I think, what we've done with Create Bridges in developing a program of work to support existing businesses, particularly the retail, accommodations, tourism, entertainment businesses, is really significant. Because now we have a suite of services that we can offer those businesses and help them solve problems. So we're really pleased that we've been able to develop that over the course of the last 2 years. Now, the next page is what you looked at during the work session. That's the roadmap to Create Bridges. By the way, I really need to give Connie Loveland credit for this. I am not a marketing genius, but Connie was able to take the information we had and put this in a graphic that I think really makes it easier to understand. So I want to thank Connie for helping us put that together. And then, of course, we did talk also, next page, about the opportunity we have for the Dawson Rail Trail, 132-mile hiking and biking trail from Tucumcari up toward Raton. Could be a real good resource for us from a tourism perspective and in terms of drawing people to the region. So we're really looking forward to that. And we are preparing an application to the Outdoor Recreation Division through their Trails Plus grant for a feasibility study and to begin some strategies for that. So we're looking forward to some good outcomes from that project. Now, the last page, and I want to just suggest something to you, which I would like to do if we can find a way to do this. I mentioned the legislative agenda from the Mexico idea, and there were a couple of things that did get through the legislature this year that I think are helpful. Of course, House Bill 2 included funding for JTIP, our job training program, included money for the state LEDA program, and funding for the Mexico Partnership. The House Bill 7 actually creates a mechanism within the Mexico Finance Authority for financing construction of industrial space. One of the things that we have found is, particularly in light of the cannabis industry in New Mexico, even in Albuquerque, they don't have any warehouse space left. It's gone. It's all been gobbled up. And so they have a challenge in terms of trying to attract companies to the state. Where are you going to put them? So I think this financing tool that they passed in the legislature, coupled with a build-to-suit option, and by the way, I'm working with Keith Barris. Some of you know Keith. He's the owner of the Eklund Hotel in Clayton. His day job is an architect and a planner. He does build-to-suit proposals for Sandia and Los Alamos National Labs. He's agreed to work with me to put together a build-to-suit proposal for companies that look to come here. The best thing we have to go on right now, some of you may remember the Shopco project that we looked at a couple of years ago, which, by the way, I think we're fortunate that we didn't get Shopco because they ended up filing bankruptcy. But I do have all the details in terms of what their proposed project was, and it comes out to about $200 a square foot. Now, if we just built a shell, we could certainly do better than that. But the cost of construction these days is certainly not cheap. But so we're working on that, and I'm glad at least we put together a financing mechanism through the New Mexico Finance Authority to help us facilitate construction of those buildings. And this financing would be available to the community, or it would be available to the prospect that's coming to town. So there are a number of different ways to approach that. But we have a tool to work with that we didn't have before. And then one of the other bills that got passed in the legislature is House Bill 104, which creates risk capital, sets aside a pool of money for risk capital for technology type ventures. that look at locating in our communities. So we made a little bit of headway in the legislature, but we still have a lot to do. And certainly some of the areas we need to address are industrial space. How do we approach that as a community? How do we compete for projects? The broom factory is useful for a couple of things. It's certainly not suitable for food manufacturing. It's suitable for warehousing. And maybe a couple of the projects we talked about from the GSLI project portal a second ago might work well with the broom factory. But in terms of industrial space, that's about all we got. Now, Mayor Pro Tem and I visited the Knights of Columbus building. And with a commercial kitchen, it's got some potential for certain types of operations. But other types, maybe not. In terms of industrial space, we're short. So we have to figure out how to address it. In terms of workforce, we're lacking in terms of skills mapping. We're ahead of a lot of other communities because we've done some of the work with WorkKey's skills assessments. But we need more data. If we're going to convince an employer that we have what they need, we got to have my favorite phrase, a data-driven story to tell to prospective businesses. And so we need the data to help write that story. So we have more work to do there. We talked about remote work. We need to figure out how we're going to approach that. How do we sell ourselves to companies in terms of being able to put employees here to do remote work? Certainly the whole incentives package piece, we need to take a look at. There are a number of other things that are listed on that page. Some of us have had conversations about the fact that even LEDA, there's some restrictions on the use of LEDA and local financing. You're not going to find anybody that really does construction financing. Retail. We don't have the ability to use LEDA for retail. So maybe we need to look at creating a new revolving loan fund that will be strictly for retail and construction financing. We need to think about that. And then fast track permitting. You don't know how many stories I've heard about businesses that have looked at coming to New Mexico and it took so long for them to get their permitting done, they left. So there's some of those things that we need to work on. And what I would invite you guys to do, and we talked about this, Mayor, at our last EDC board meeting. I know you guys have limited time, and I'm not suggesting we have a bunch of additional meetings. That's the last thing you need. But somehow we need to have these discussions about these items and work together and come up with some solutions. So maybe like we did today with the creative rooms at your work session. Maybe we can take 15 minutes and look at each of these issues. I think it'd be good for me to be able to share with you what kinds of buildings other communities have available, so you can see who we're competing with, and then we can come up with what is our best solution to some of those things. But I would invite you guys to work with me on that in terms of looking at how we address these issues so we can compete for jobs. And with that, I'm happy to stand for questions.
Anybody have any questions?
I have none. Thank you.
I think that's a great idea, Pat.
Thank you.
Joining us for work sessions and working out solutions together. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, we appreciate it. Okay, next on the agenda is an action item regarding our event coordinator proposal.
Yes, ma'am. This is the item that we discussed during the work session. And I think we have something that's agreeable to move forward with based on the amendments made during the work session. The small amendment to section 3 to add city commission after city manager when it comes to reporting. It is also mentioned though later on about report to commission in general, just over everything. Next paragraph on page 3. And then also to be clear and add the language of any rented space At the event, vendors, all that money is gonna go back to the lodge tax fund line item. So with that, I think, I'm set for any questions. If not, I'd ask for your approval.
Anybody have any further questions that you didn't get covered at the work session? I would entertain a motion to, vote on the action item regarding the event coordinator with the contract changes as discussed.
I do apologize, ma'am. Madam Mayor,
Yes.
on page 5 with the governing law, changing that from the 11th judicial district to 10th.
Right, yes, we do need to correct that one.
Thank you.
Yes. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is requesting executive lodgers tax funds for the baseboards at the convention center. And I do want to comment, man, the floor looks wonderful.
Yeah.
I was out there yesterday. It really looks shiny and pretty.
I'd like y'all to go in about a week. Next Thursday, everything's supposed to be complete, so it's, they were laying the carpet tiles today. I'll touch on that a little bit more in my manager's report, but, we'll go ahead and kick off with the baseboards. This is something that was not included with the original flooring contract. We wanted to wait till we got into the project a little bit further to see what was gonna be realistic. With the old porcelain tile that was installed, it was 6 to 8 inches, I guess, all along the baseboard. And doing that tore up some of the sheetrock, and it's a mess. This is something that we need to do to complete the project. We received 2 quotes. One of them was for $18,942.85, and the low quote was $16,990. This is for an 8-inch base throughout the hallways in the front lobby area, as well as a 4-inch code base for the ballroom. And with that, I ask for your approval.
You're saying one is 39, right?
That will be the next item. That's for the painting of the.
Where's the other one? Oh, okay, that's for the painting?
Yes, sir.
This one's just for this.
Yeah, because I have 2, I thought 2. Okay, so who are the companies? I'm sorry.
The low bid or quote was Illmatic Construction. They're the subcontractor that's actually doing the floors right now. And the other was another company. I can't remember the name right now.
No, I just wondered, because I looked at that, I didn't know, I never heard of the name, that's why I wondered. Okay.
So do we need to specify which one we want to go with?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't even present it. It was just
Right.
go with the low bid.
So you want us
That's
to do a motion? I'll do a motion.
Yes, please.
Automatic
Low bid.
construction. Since that was the lowest bid, you said there was another one, but that was 18, and this is 16,990.
Correct.
And so and he's already here, so I guess, we can get it quicker done, and he's still working on the project, so.
And this will be done by next week.
Good. It looks good. I was there, I don't know how we missed, I was there yesterday.
Right. So,
I'll move.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry.
Yes.
Okay, and next is on the requesting executive lodgers tax funds for the painting at the convention center. They put the baseboards down and everything.
Yes, ma'am. They're actually going and paint ahead of the baseboard.
Right.
This is something that needed to be done with the change of the polished concrete colors as well as the new carpet going into the ballroom. This quote is to repaint the entire convention center, the ballroom, the lobby, the hallways, same areas where the flooring was replaced. I believe it states it in the quote, it'll be 2 colors in all the hallways and 2 in the main ballroom. We'll be matching the colors to the new carpet, and it goes along with everything else. We received, we had to get 3 quotes because it was over $20,000. The low quote was $39,519.21. That is Daniel Construction here locally. $41,000 from Todd Smith, and then huge number, $78,000 from AGM Construction out of Albuquerque. So with that, same thing, this is a time crunch. They plan on having this painted by next Thursday. They'll be working through the weekend and whatever it takes, because we have a big wedding next Saturday, and all this will be complete before
That's ambitious.
It'll happen if they have to work all night.
Somebody write that down.
Yeah. So any questions on this one? I entertain a motion
So
to.
move. Second.
Well, who we going with?
The low bid.
Yeah.
No bitterness would be, I mean, that's the only one that we have.
Yes.
Yeah, Randy was to be.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
No.
Commissioner Gadeva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias, Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Next on the agenda is the city manager's report.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Since we're talking about the convention center, I'd like to start there first. They have been doing an amazing job out there, as well as our local facilities maintenance, Chris Grease. We've had some issues where we had some leaks, so he patched up the sheetrock, he's texturing it, painting it. So we have that going on as well, of course, the flooring. There's some additional work. It'll have to be buffed and cleaned once everything's done next week. But today, as stated, they did start laying down the carpet square tiles. It's a little bit darker color, hides the stains a little bit better. Previously, it was a roll carpet, so if you had a bad stain, you're kind of out of luck. Now we could pop in carpet tile as needed. We have extra boxes of tile as needed. They had already knocked out at least a quarter of that room in 2-3 hours this morning. It's looking amazing. The polished concrete, like I said, that's done. The painting, now that we have this, I have some phone calls to make tonight, so everybody can start on what they need to and order supplies first thing in the morning. And there's additional crews coming in for this to make sure it's done on time. It's been a great working experience with these people. The carpet was on back order. There's a lot of things that we didn't put out there, but we knew it was going to come out and work out the way it was supposed to be done before our first event that we'll be having next Saturday. So I invite you all to get out there. Once everything's done, painted, polished, cleaned up, ready to go, I'd say next Thursday or Friday, if you're available, we can go out there. And I'd like to show the commission, Lodgers Tax Board, everybody, see what all this money and effort's gone towards. So I'm very excited, and many more plans in the future to continue to improve the convention center. Also want to state that this month we met and the Lodgers Tax Board gave their recommendations for upcoming special events for the next fiscal year, as well as some other spending. Didn't want to rush it. I plan on having a work session on the meeting of April 28th. That way we could discuss and look at the full budget. There's a lot of things that need to be discussed. I didn't want to rush it. So great things going on there. I also want to take some time to bring some positivity and put some things out there in the public. I think everybody, there's a lot of new businesses, a lot of small businesses coming into town. And I think that speaks a lot of what's going on. We have our struggles, but things are moving forward, and to see new businesses coming in at Tucumcari, that's amazing. And I've been hearing of more and more actually wanting to show up. So thank you to all those new businesses that are taking the risk and planning to start their new business here in Tucumcari. I also want to let the public know that Coronado Park will be closed tomorrow and Saturday due to the holiday. Tomorrow's Good Friday, and then it's Easter weekend. Our crews will be at home with their families, so we will be closing the Coronado Park or Tree Branch disposal this weekend and plan on reopening next week. Also had a chance to speak with our water rights attorney, Kyle Harwood. We're kind of picking up where things had left off, still with some combining commingle permits, as well as the discussion of Tucumcari Lake. We want to keep that going. We're trying to get everything allocated as how much water rights the city has, as well as a little bit excess water rights to make sure we're taking care of first as a city, and then see how much water rights would be available to make sure we get this Tucumcari Lake thing kicked off.
Wait a minute, water rights, I know you're talking about community water rights as far as the wells that we feed our people with. But we also have, and we talked about this, 6,000 acre feet of water out of Logan, and then we also talked about what do we have, the 500 and some water rights that we own from the real estate that we hold right now. Maybe it's, 552 or something like that. But we still have that. Is that being included into this project? Because this project is a very important project that we've been working since the 80s.
We've talked about it financially. The Ute Lake water would be tough just to try to build a pipeline down this way. The most economical thing to do at the time that we discussed was just punch a new well out there at Tucumcari Lake. That would be at the cost of New Mexico Game and Fish. But again, it's still in discussion. We're just trying to hash it all
Yeah,
out.
because even the 500 acre feet of water that we have from our Charlie, that could be gravitated in there. Because that's,
There might be a consent decree on that still.
no, we have that, and I think, we've been working on it since the 80s on that lawsuit of our Charlie thing, but it's beginning to look a little better now, I think. I think when the city participates, there's nobody living there anymore. That used to be when there were houses, and some of those houses got flooded back in the old days. That's where the problem came in on the lawsuit, you know. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I mean, we're talking about 3 different types of water rights that we're talking about.
Correct, there's other sources.
And don't forget, we do need to utilize the 6,000 acres that we have at that U Lake too, you know, we don't want to lose them. Because remember, water, especially with the drought, water rights is going to become a battle if you're not using it. So if we can do in there and get grants and utilize some of that, that'd be ideal.
Yes, sir, I agree. And last thing I had on my report was, had a chance to meet with Jeremy Romero. He's the public safety advisor appointed by the governor. Myself, representation from the police department, sheriff's departments, sat down and talked to him. He was asking what our needs and concerns were. So we're currently looking at, of course, the law enforcement protection funds went up this year. They'll go up again next fiscal year. And just anything that the state can do to try to assist us as a police department, from whether it's covering costs of trainings to there's money that was approved by legislation. I believe it's 50 million. It's 10 million over the next 5 years, 10 million a year. And whether that's through training, that's for equipment, that's for police vehicles, just kind of building that relationship, doing an intro. We got a chance to meet him, really nice guy. So I just want to let the commission know that I also had a chance to meet with him. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I have a question for the.
Okay,
First of all, I'd like to address this issue that came, and I don't want to talk about personnel. I want to talk about the animal rights at the town. I wasn't aware of it. I'm really disgusted with it. Don't forget, I went to jail over a dog. You know? So the whole deal is, and I don't like animals to suffer. I really I'm very sensitive when it comes to animals. What is the deal there? I really want to know from your perspective, because I'm not one bit happy if this is this report that was given to me. I get really upset when it comes to animals. So give me a report, and what are we going to do to correct it? And I do want to go visit it tomorrow if possible.
It's already been corrected. It's a personnel issue as stated.
It is a personnel issue, but that thing should have never got out of hand, because we're talking about, you know, this rights of these animals that I don't like them if this was happening, you know.
Yes, sir. I
And how we're going to do to safeguard this does not happen again.
There's been safeties put into place and it's been addressed, sir. I can guarantee that.
Well, I know it's a personnel issue, but it becomes a very sensitive issue with the public here, especially when you have animals. You know, I have some animals that I adopted out of there, and I mean that I had gotten, and I'm telling you one thing, they're like families, and if this is happening, I hope it never happens again, because and I want you to sit with me and explain what corrections you have done and what's been happening. This is a little sensitive.
I agree, and I did not find out about this until quite some time after. Disappointed that I didn't have either staff or anybody contact me. But again, like I said, it's been addressed, and
But the whole deal is, we don't want to hear it from the public. We want to hear it when people over there are working and they see the thing happen. You know? And-
after Mrs. McClellan contacted me, I immediately contacted Mark.
Yeah, but it's still embarrassing to hear from
It
the
is,
public.
yes.
But we have to oversee this thing, so that it will never happen again.
oh, and I agree, sir.
And whoever is in charge of that department should be also brought in and make sure that they're supervising whoever's there.
I was disappointed as well. As soon as it brought to my attention, I took action. It was addressed.
Well, good, but we shouldn't have got to that point. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is items from commissioners. Commissioner Moya, you want to go ahead?
Okay,
Mayor Pro Tem Moya, I'm sorry.
yeah, okay. First of all, I did receive a complaint, and this is on private property, and it seems to be a real interesting situation over there. And that is at the Quays, people are complaining that the raw sewer is running down on their driveway or whatever it is where people are walking. I guess they've been having some kind of whatever you call it, some sort of some sort of plumbing problems, and people were very concerned about the fact is that this seemed to be a situation that is a health hazard, so maybe you need to report it to whoever is supposed to address it. They said there's all kinds, I don't know, I went out there when they called me and there was water down the regular driveway. I mean, there was in tissue and where it was boiling out, you know. So it's a safety issue for those people who are paying rent up there, and they're not paying pennies. The federal government matches it, and it's supposed to be a good, suitable place to live. So if you can, report it to whoever needs to be done, because that's a health hazard right there. Okay, and then let me see. Another thing I'd like to bring up is the fact is that I'm very excited about the fact that the cannabis comes in. Because if you look at it, it's going to be a 12% tax, and I think 6% goes to the state. The remainder comes to the local entities in the area, and which is going to be good for us. We really, this is going to help the budget. It's going to help a lot. I think maybe we also need to examine the fact is that some of this income coming in would be able to increase some salaries like the police department and other areas, because, you know, our employees have worked hard and they're long overdue a good increase, and hopefully we can go in that direction. So for me, a lot of people are against cannabis. I'm not against cannabis because I like the idea that we can even, the idea of money coming in to help us finance our city better budget, you know, so I'm happy with that. The other thing is, I did get a complaint from the vendors that are out on the weekends on parking lots, like, what do you call that place?
Old Hardy's place.
Yeah. So I said, whatever, you know, I said, I saw some there, not this week, but the week before or so. I went over and I looked like I was the one interested in buying items. I did ask him. I said, I'm interested in bringing some stuff to sell here. I said, how much does it cost? He said, nothing. You don't have to get nothing. Just set up. The vendors themselves told me that. This is unfair because we have our people in our community that are trying to make a living. And when an outside vendor comes in here, they take our money out and goes to wherever they came from. So that money is not going to be circulated in our community. And so what is happening? Why aren't we enforcing this? I also had to complain from 2 business people in this community that complained to me that they're baking or something like that and selling online stuff, you know what I mean? And that's, you know, if you have a restaurant, you have to comply with EPA. You have to be safe, and that product has to be edible and you are comfortable with it. I'm not saying that things that are coming out of the homes are not, but at the same time, when people start complaining and they work hard to maintain their building, comply with the law, and then you have somebody undermining it and not even paying taxes, then we got a problem. And maybe Scott can answer me this. I had a vendor call me that was interested in coming for Rawhide, and she's been having a heck of a time having no return calls on the, she's a vendor, she wants to be able to be here, and that she calls the chambers, nobody returns the calls.
I haven't gotten any calls at the chamber from anyone for Rawhide vendors, but I would defer to Bobby and Connie about the Rawhide vendors.
Yeah. But you wanted to call the
Chamber of Commerce?
Information.
Yeah.
Well, everybody calls any information. I'll be honest with you who it was. It was Mary Gallagher out of Clayton, New Mexico, and she, I guess, sells like stuff that goes to all the trade shows. I mean, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you short.
We haven't heard any Gallagher, but I mean, I have several lines of communication from our website to my phone number. I've gotten some calls from some vendors and I fielded them. So I've tried to field every call and question things. So if you can give her my number if you want, and I can talk.
Okay, give it to me after work, you know. Because, I really would like to be able to let her know, that, you will return a call. She said she gets call and nobody returns calls. And she's very eager to come out. She goes to all the trade shows.
Okay, yeah, because we have, can sign vendors up online now because we have it through an event hub, which is.
And all she wants is the information to decide whether she's gonna be able to be a vendor for that event or not. And that-
Okay.
That's another thing.
All right, we're happy to give any information.
Okay, the other thing is, and Mark, and this is important, I know we have increased our hours now, and I know the real estate lady in the city of Hogo was complaining about how hard it was at this city to get the utilities on it and stuff like that. Maybe now it'd be better, if it hasn't been too long, what is it, 2 weeks to 3 weeks that we increase the hours at the city hall?
About a month or so.
Yeah, so, if you will, I mean, to me, I just went over to help a couple of people get some utilities, water turned on, I had no problems, they went really good with me, you know what I mean? He wanted to pay by check, I mean, you know, before you take it out, they took the time, they did everything. So I'm really not complaining about me, but I'm just concerned about, the complaint that was brought to us at this point, you know, in versus to that, you know. The other question I had, Mark, and I think the commission we need to eventually sit and talk, the commission does. We need to look and see what we're talking about cross-training people for, in the city hall, because when people are absent, it appears that at times, they're not able to get what they require. And because I think what's happening is we're relying on one person to be the person to do that duty, and we don't cross-train. And so what happens is when that person's off duty, well, I call you on the complaint, I may explain it to you, a business person shouldn't have to call the commissioner to try and get whatever he needs. You know, and that's not the only one, there's other ones that I have got complaints. So the commission needs to have a workshop, and we need to go over, a lot of what, some of the complaints we get about how things are not sometimes, giving out to another staff while that person's absent or whatever. Okay, and that's all I got.
Commissioner Cherry?
Yes, write this down. I kind of agree with Commissioner Moy on some of this.
Make a note of that.
Yeah.
They didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did have a conversation about the animal control also with the manager and new employees and all, and so I kind of think we've got a handle on it, so look at that. And also on the utility, if you can just check on that, to see if there's a utility, start utility.
Yeah, I'd have to.
Anyway, on the reuse, that struck me, $5 million project on the reuse. Is that just basically because of new regulations?
That's why we're doing this. It's stuff that's been handed down through EPA mandates. We have a guide. We have 3 years per permit to get to these unreasonable nutrient limits. It's not possible. So the cheapest, most easiest way to meet those permit requirements was to go to a reuse. If not, we'd have to do probably like a $20 million investment into our plant. And we'd be lucky if we could get it done. It'd take more staff, more O&M, just wasn't practical. And believe it or not, that is an estimate from about 2-3 years ago. And we're actually short by at least probably $1.2 to $1.5 million. So that's something I've been working on. Mr. Lopez was part of that, as well as we met with NVD, a few different people. So that's a shortfall. That's something we're gonna have to figure out how we come up with that.
Okay, well, and, sorry, it just struck me, and I said, $5 million go a long ways to fixing roads, so it's because of regulation.
Yeah, we have to. There's no way around it.
5 blocks at least.
Yes. One more thing, and throw this at you. When you were talking about the DPS secretary, asking, what you can do with that. With our risk management, I know we don't use municipal league or anything for that. Has getting away from the qualified immunity made any difference yet? I know it has big time with the county, so that's why that's,
It has its issues.
okay. Well, that's something we need to look, talk to them about maybe also,
I agree. That's something that, thankfully, we haven't been on the bad side of that yet, but it's definitely.
It could happen and Troas would be different. Anyway, thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, no problem.
That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Arias?
Thank you, Mayor. Pause and Claus, thank you for your service to our community. Thank you for raising the awareness and bringing it to our attention. Mrs. Duplantis, thank you for bringing your kiddos in. It was great to see them. And Commissioner, good to have you back in the chambers.
He's not speaking for all of us.
Pat, thank you for your update. I look forward to the renewed collaboration and see if we can solve these problems together. It's gonna be great. I do want to inform the commission again, next Wednesday, I will have a meeting with the Lake Water Commission. Looking at the agenda here, it is going to be a routine meeting, just approving nomination of officers and financial reports and open meetings, resolution. This will be our first meeting of the year, so I'll bring back again. It is in person and also virtual. So I look forward to bringing that update back with me at our next meeting. Mrs. Rigdon, thank you. I agree with you 100%. A house divided cannot stand. Thank you for saying it. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Villanueva?
I've got a few complaints about dumpster lids. Can we get somebody to go around fixing dumpster lids, especially on, up there by
College Street.
College Street, especially up there by, Turner and Choctaw, in that area. And I guess some of them have holes in them, in the dumpsters. I don't know what we need to do, replace them, I guess.
They'll either weld them or replace the dumpster. As this particular complaints, have they reached out to City Hall to put in work orders?
They said. Potholes. Have you heard anything if we'll get a machine or not?
Not gonna get a machine, but they're out on Rock Island patching
Been
on
working all week.
Wednesday, Tuesday, that's it, I'm out there. Tuesday, because I wasn't in yesterday.
Okay, have they been putting up actually signs for safety when they're out there following? Blocking the road or anything?
I don't think they blocked the road, but I think they put signs. I'll ask Alex.
Do they have to wear hard hats or vests or anything?
Should be, yes, sir.
I had a complaint about the city yard by the rec center.
By the rec center.
Yeah, the road crew, whatever.
Oh, okay.
People are still complaining about, they get chewed out, they don't have their yard clean. You can see all the junk, cars, tires, whatever there at the yard. What can we do to clean that up?
They started to put that mesh netting on to try to keep it behind there. Not as visible, but the wind has tore that mesh up.
Why can't we just put tin all around it?
It's a lot more expensive than just that mesh.
It solves the problem.
Or what would it take to clean it up? I think that's the major thing. We want to put it behind a wall and.
Well, the concern is a lot of that stuff that's sitting there is stuff that needs to go out to auction. It's old and not operable. So we really don't have other places to really store that. So the best thing is to have an auction probably this year and just get rid of it, auction it off. We don't have to worry about it.
Can we go like to the landfill, have a certain spot where you put all that or no?
It depends what it is, but if it's gonna go to auction, it almost defeats the purpose, haul it all the way out and then haul it all the way back in. I think we need to clean it as best we can, and then if we could put some kind of privacy fence, something up there to keep it out of sight.
How about the fire hydrants? Have you got any more updates on the fire hydrants?
Fire hydrants, the same as last time.
Same as the last time.
They're working on them as they can, and that's kind of where we're at.
I had a complaint too about trash on the road, like on our side streets, like the other day they said there was a couch on the road. I don't know if they called you at City Hall or anything, no.
There's a washer on the way going home the other day. I dumped 3 washers.
I just want to thank Scott and everybody for everything.
That should be it. Have a happy Easter.
Okay. All right, my turn. Y'all are all packing up. You're just gonna have to listen because it's my turn. Right? First of all, I'd like to say something about the potholes. I would like to thank the city because I've turned in 5 different orders, not in my district, but from all over town, and they have been filled because I've been checking. So I would like to thank the city crews for doing that. Also too, I turned in a work order yesterday, I think it was, about the trash on College Street because it was overflowing and all over the street and everything else. And so I did turn in a work order for that. So I was taking my dog to the groomer and went down that street and called Angelica and we got it done. So I don't know if it's been emptied or not. I was going to go by today and didn't have time. Lights at the depot, we've got, that's my thing. Lights
They
at
like
the-
the depot on.
Lights at the depot because we've got Rawhide coming up and we're gonna have some events down there. So, we need to be sure those are fixed. I think I brought that up last time too, so.
Mhm.
So,
We did spend a lot of money fixing all that electrical work, remember?
so anyway, so we need to make sure those are done before Rawhide gets here. Also too, there is a new business in town, Kendall Street Sips. It's a tea wagon down across from, I don't know, from what, Kicks, yeah. Anyway,
A
so,
wagon,
it's-
Ann's Corners, where they have a function.
yeah,
Next door at the gas station.
Yeah.
They sell tea.
it's got a,
Oh, they open it, oh, okay.
yeah, it's
Sorry,
got a
I thought-
wagon or a food truck type thing. So we are getting some other businesses besides just cannabis, so, which, you know, that's fine. Also too, I understand the city offices are closing at noon tomorrow.
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
I want to be sure, and let everybody know that because of Good Friday. May the 20th, we're going to have several hundred bikes and vets coming through town for a ride to the wall. Would you
Oh,
not,
sorry.
Please, thank you. They're gonna be coming through, we've got several sponsors here in town that are willing to help buy them gas and things. 'Cause
It's
they're
a
gonna-
veteran ride,
Pardon?
a veteran ride.
Veteran ride to
Very
the
good.
wall, yes. It's not a political, it's a veteran ride. So, and I've been working with them for several years and we've had to cancel it every year. And this year they're gonna finally get to make it. So, hope everybody put that on your calendar for May 20th. And it's a Easter weekend, so everybody have a blessed Easter. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Salud.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Commissioner Gamble,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem West.
Yes.
So if you want something.
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate everybody that came. And Jackie, thank you for bringing the kiddos. Quarter drop.
You're welcome. Thank
Next
you.
one, Bobby, thank you guys for coming.
Hey, Mark.